folks, it's the Creepy Kentuckian here with you again from Dead Pit Radio. Today, we're going to go back in time, right? The drive-in double features of the 1950s and 60s. It was a totally different time. None of us alive today, unless you were around then, would realize the significance and how popular those movies were. But thanks to the good friends over at Filmmasters, they have remastered a couple of these movies, which I know the majority of you guys own these and probably own them on multiple no-budget box sets that includes 50 horror movies or whatever else, because both of these fell in the public domain and was in pretty much all those sets. And you own them multiple times, but this is a newly restored version of both of these movies. And these movies always played together. Both of them were from director Ray Kellogg, and we are talking about the Giant Gila Monster. It's a special edition of that one, along with the Killer Shrews. It's a 2-disc edition. We've got bonus features on here. Remastered transfers for I think the first time. This is the cleanest I've ever seen either of these movies. They both look great, so I'm not sure what the history is on that. I am not an expert on monster movies from the 1950s, drive-in double features and stuff like that. I do know that these movies were produced together, released together in a double feature, and was only supposed to be regional movies shown in Texas, I think. And they ended up kind of blowing up and showing all across the country and all across the world. And here we are 60 plus years later, and these movies are getting new releases. People are still talking about them. Yeah, they're neither one of them are that great. We don't have award-winning cinema here. It's nothing that really changed the game too much. But both of these movies are a lot of fun. We're going to briefly talk about both of the movies, and then I want to get into this 2-disc set from Filmmasters, which I think is a lot of fun, and at the price point, it's fair enough to say, hey, this is something different I can show on Halloween this year. We're going to go back there only for a day, 1959, to the drive-in. Let's go. So this edition is headlined by the Giant Gila Monster, in which 2 teens go missing in a small country town in Texas. Sheriff Jeff investigates with the help of his young friend Chase, who loves to sing about children quite a bit. And he's a local mechanic. They discover, of course, that there is a giant Gila monster that's taking out the population of the small town, with a race on time until the entire town is destroyed. Meanwhile, there's all kinds of stupid, colorful characters for the Gila monster to kill. Continuing on, also 1959, The Killer Shrews, which stars James Best as boat captain Thorne Sherman. You may remember him as Roscoe P. Coltrane from the Dukes of Hazzard. He would later film that. Younger fella here, along with his sidekick Rook, arrived to a small island community to deliver supplies to a scientist and his young, beautiful daughter, only to discover the scientist created a monster out of control, flesh-eating shrew. And for those that don't know, I wasn't for sure exactly what the hell a shrew was. It's kind of like a rodent with a long, angular nose. I think they're only in like certain countries. So look it up if you want to see what a shrew is. I didn't know until just recently. I thought it was a rat type thing or something, or it was an Australian rat. I didn't know. But these movies are not the best actual movies. Now, they're a lot of fun. They're very cheap. They play well with the crowd of people still to this day. If you're looking for something brutal and gory and all that, this is not that. This is tongue-in-cheek cheese from the late 50s. Drive-in double features were a huge thing all across the country. And I believe these two movies were commissioned by a producer just who owned some drive-ins in Texas, and they were just going to be shown regionally, but kind of just exploded all across the country and the world later on. We're still talking about them 64 years later, 65 years later. There's still new versions of these coming out. And I want to tell you, I've seen these movies numerous times over the years. The Giant Gila Monster was a movie that my father had seen in theaters, and he always told me the story about the giant Gila monster and how it freaked him out. And he did see a large lizard on the railroad tracks on the way back home. Never forgot that, and didn't have the balls to ever watch the giant Gila monster movie again. So that alone, that story alone sticks with me, and it's good to have a special edition Blu-ray of this out. Now, this thing looks great, man. Like, as far as transfer-wise on both of these, I have never seen these movies look this good. So, if you're a fan of these movies and you want to have a definitive version of Giant Gila Monster or the Killer Shrews, this is the one you want to check out. Now, there are some special features included on this. Not a lot, but you do get a commentary for the Giant Gila Monster by Larry Stroud, James Gones, Sean Sheridan, and Matt Weinhold from the Monster Party podcast. Archival interview with leading actor Don Sullivan by author Brian Seen. And on disc 2, you have a 16-minute documentary on Ray Kellogg, an unsung master. Ballyhoo Motion Pictures documentary written by C. Courtney Joyner and narrated by Larry Blamire. There's also a collection of original radio spots for each film and a commentary on the Killer Shrews by author Jason A. Nah. And included in this, like I said, 2 discs. One for the Giant Gila Monster, one for the Killer Shrews. And there is a 22-page booklet that is included, which is really nice. It's just a nice touch. Talking about the making of the movies with photos, some artwork there from the poster. And for those that don't know, the Misfits, one of the best punk rock bands of all time, took the Misfits logo from the Giant Gila Monster font. And there is a picture of the deadly Giant Gila Monster. So that is it, guys. That is Giant Gila Monster along with the Killer Shrews. It's a Blu-ray remastered double feature. Check it out. It's on Amazon.com, Filmmasters.com. Be sure to check us out. We are over at DeadPit.com. Give us a thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a fuck. If you do
I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that now.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit radio shirts. You can get Last South on the left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows, fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.
We ain't